Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Guyana's Chief Justice to deliver a ruling on Petition 88 in 2 weeks. This story takes the lead in our 1087th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday, 9th April 2021. Details after this break.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
Welcome back. April 26, 2021 has been tentatively set as the date when Chief Justice Roxanne George is expected to deliver her ruling in the matters relating to the APNU-AFC's election petition 88, following oral submissions to the court on Wednesday. Wendell Badri of HGP Nightly News has the details.
Attorney at Law John Jeremy, Senior Counsel of Trinidad and Tobago, who is representing the interests of the petitioners, maintained that Order 60 of 2020 was drafted in bad faith, while also establishing that Section 22 of the Constitution does not allow GCOM to act the way it did when it drafted Order 60.
The regime created under Order 60 by GCOM purportedly, in pursuance of 22 of the election law and Article 162 of the Constitution, is itself ultra-vires and inconsistent with 161E of the Constitution.
Jeremy further argued that GCOM acted unlawfully when it embarked on the national recount exercise, citing that only an election court has jurisdiction to open ballot boxes and further inquire into discrepancies.
It usurps upon the power of the High Court to set aside declarations. Okay. And also to resolve election disputes. That's a matter for the High Court.
Meanwhile, Attorney at Law Anthony Astefan, Senior Counsel, who represented the Chief Election Officer on behalf of the Guyana Elections Commission, submitted that the Commission acted as it deemed necessary and within the ambit of the law, according to Article 162(1)(b) of the Constitution, which says that the Commission, and I quote, shall issue such instructions and take action as appears to it necessary or expedient to ensure impartiality, fairness, and compliance with the provisions of the Constitution. Astefan posited that GCOM literally has a mandate to act based on difficulties, which it did in the case of the electoral saga, following which it embarked on the national recount exercise of 2020. He further stated that for the petitioners to submit a mere breach of the law statement and expect a different result is absurd. While he brought to the attention of the Chief Justice the words of Justice Singh, who presided over an election petition in 1997.
That a mere breach of the law is not sufficient. And we respectfully submit that the petitioners were required to plead and or show and or submit the following, which they have not done. 1, total non-compliance with the law.
Attorney at Law Douglas Mendez, who appeared on behalf of Vice President Barrett Jagdeo, proffered that Parliament can delegate its authority, given that the principles of delegation are clearly outlined, as in the case of Section 22 of the Constitution. In that regard, he proffered that Section 22 is not unconstitutional, and therefore GCOM acted within the ambit of the law. Continuing with his submissions, the attorney said that even though Order 60 authorized a departure from the strict provisions of the Representation of the People Act, it was enforced to clarify and remove difficulties which arose in the election process.
The only major difference between Order 60 and the normal procedures is that the returning officers are not doing the recount themselves, but it is being done by GCOM employees under the supervision of the Chief Elections Officer and in the presence of all of the political parties.
The decision as to whether Section 22 of the Constitution, as well as Order 60, are constitutional, now rests solely in the hands of the Chief Justice. Wendell Badri, HGP Nightly News.
Call lines have been increased and an online platform will be introduced next week to accommodate the overwhelming requests by Phase 1 candidates to be vaccinated. Overshitawari Rupnarayan of TV6 News in Trinidad reports.
Here's a look at vaccinations across TNT after day 1, April 6, 2021, the official start of the vaccination program. Although the overall daily target of 1,000 has been surpassed, the Northwest Regional Health Authority lags behind its other geographical counterparts.
When the team, led by the CMO and including the RHAs, visited some of the sites in the inner city like Oxford Street, George Street and Woodbrook, they found that these health centers, because you are in the city, they either had no parking or inside was simply too small to accommodate a safe amount of people being vaccinated.
Those being distributed come from the 33,600 COVAX vaccines, which was for months carded for arrival in late March. It also carries an expiry date of May 31st, some 9 weeks after arrival. But infections in TNT have been rising over the past month to yearly highs of over 40 infections per day.
What we've noted over the last 3 weeks is a shift in the transmission of cases from the central and south region now into the east-west corridor. It means that we are now seeing a national or transmission of the COVID-19 virus throughout the country.
It's uncertain whether this surge is behind what the ministry declares an overwhelming response to the call to be vaccinated.
We had an extremely high vaccine acceptance, as the minister would have mentioned. That resulted in a number of persons as well showing up at the facilities to have appointments. Simultaneously, we would have been managing an increased number of calls to the hotlines that we would have identified on the ministry website. So there are some improvements that we will put in place by the end of day today. There will be other telephone numbers that persons would be able to call to ensure that they can have their appointments made.
And the ministry has been trying to keep up with the demand for inoculation, which is for now open to only frontline medical workers and persons over 60 with NCDs.
Processes have already been instituted across all RHAs. The Northwest RHA, they have increased the number of lines to 5 lines, and they've increased staffing for persons to communicate with members of the population based on the appointment system and the expected wait time. At the Southwest RHA, they have gone from 4 lines to 8 lines as of this morning to really increase that sort of communication and the efficiency of the process. We are in the process of increasing staffing levels by Friday of this week so that the lines are properly manned.
The program is expected to be boosted with some 40,000 AstraZeneca vaccines, which are carded for arrival from India on Monday. It also can allow the 33,600 from COVAX due to expire on May 31st to be used as first shots. But Minister Dayal Singh is unsure of the expiration date of the batch due to arrive on Monday.
We do not yet know the expiry date, and that is why we can't make any firm decision as yet as to its usage.
Despite saying last week a 2-month interval between AstraZeneca double doses is not a bad place to be, persons vaccinated yesterday have been given the WHO's recommended 3-month period between jabs. In the absence of the COVAX's second shipment, if the doses from India do have a similar expiration period, it's unlikely to accommodate that 3-month interval between jabs. Will then government policy change?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. Let's wait until Monday, as I said before, to see what the expiry date is before we make firm decisions. Once we know that, then we could come to the population and come to the media and say the expiry date is X, and because of that, the policy now moving forward will be Y.
Urvashi Tawari Rupnarayan, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Body pains for Health Secretary Tracy Davidson Celestin, fever and headache for Acting Inspector of Police Alicia Piggott after being administered the COVID-19 vaccine on Tuesday. TV6's Elizabeth Williams spoke with both women. Here is her report.
Well, into the night I experienced some body pains, and by early the next morning I was okay and I went about my usual routine.
Mrs. Davidson Celestin told members of the media she was nervous yesterday before being administered the COVID-19 vaccine. She also told the TV6 News she thought the process would have been more painful.
Immediately after, we were observed for about half an hour. There were no immediate side effects.
We also spoke with Acting Inspector of Police Alicia Piggott, who was officially the first police officer to be administered the vaccine. She told us the process was quick and easy, and she was not fearful about being inoculated.
Were you afraid at all in coming today to take the vaccine?
No, I was not. You see, I have a shared responsibility to protect my family, my friends, my colleagues, and if I also want the borders to reopen, and if I want the economy to open, I have a responsibility to do this, to be vaccinated.
I know that you have to wait like half an hour after. What did you experience?
I did wait half an hour after, and there was no issues at this time.
However, today, when we contacted Inspector Piggott, she told us she was experiencing headaches, fever, body pains, and was feeling weak. She was unable to report to work today for the first time in her career. TV6 News also checked in on Infrastructure Secretary Kwesi Devines. He said he had slight soreness in the area after getting the jab on Tuesday and no other side effects. Elizabeth Williams, TV6 News.
And now we turn to Kingstown, St. Vincent. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has told teachers ahead of Monday's reopening of schools that they should have a government-approved coronavirus COVID-19 vaccine or have been tested for the virus. Otherwise, they would be asked to leave the compound. Gonsalves made the announcement on a radio program, VC3, as he continued to defend his government's vaccination or test policy for public sector workers. Under the policy, all employees of the central government or statutory entities are required to submit their COVID-19 vaccination report or be tested up to once every 2 weeks for the virus. Told listeners that on Thursday and Friday, we are asking the teachers across the whole of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the areas where you are from, go to your clinic, take the test. If everybody could take it, fine. You take the test or you take the vaccine. Preferably, you take the vaccine. If all of you go and you take the vaccine, that is fine, Gonsalves said. He added that 331 teachers, or 17% of educators, had taken the vaccine thus far. In the meantime, if the prevailing economic situation continues, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines may be unable to pay salaries and benefits. And this is according to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. He said so on Wednesday last. He said while his government has held things together economically through all kinds of difficulties, there is now a real pressure on. He made the comments as he again appealed to public sector workers and residents generally to get vaccinated against COVID-19. So far, the government has administered 11,000 doses of the vaccine, which is about 11% of the population. Officials were hoping that approximately 50,000 people would have got the jab by this month, vaccine availability permitting.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.